Hello, everybody. Randy Crabtree, host of the Unique CPA podcast and partner at Trimerit Specialty Tax Professionals, back with you with another interview session from our conference, Bridging the Gap in Rosemont, Illinois. Sitting with me in this round is one of my favorites, Allan Koltin. Allan, thanks for being here at the interview circle.
Thank you. You hit it out of the park, my friend. The buzz going around this conference is off the chart.
I am like pinching myself because I'm hearing the same thing. People are enjoying it. The biggest concern when you do one of these is, can you meet the expectations of the people who are attending? Because after you and I with some other people did that live podcast last year from the Beer Temple in Chicago, people were just raving about that. And I was like, how can we ever get to that level again? And so that was the biggest concern in my mind. And after yesterday, the first full day and the evening event, I'm hearing what you just said too, and I appreciate it.
It's sensational. An amazing combination. You know, some conferences, good networking, we content, not a lot of fun. Yeah. This is, you hit it out of the park on the content, you hit it out of the park on the networking, you hit it out of the park on the fun. I mean, people are just having a great time.
To me, that's extremely important, especially with our profession. Fun, we need to show that this is a fun profession because we are having issues attracting people. And one of the cool things for me at this conference is Chad Davis, his 12-year-old daughter, actually 11, she's not even 12 for a couple months, asked if she could come because she's interested in accounting. And so she's here. And I told everybody yesterday, we have to show her how fun and this profession is. And it sounds like she's having a great time.
Well, thanks for filling the blank. I saw her walking out, probably to go to the bathroom, and I was like, what the heck? Like, what's up with that? Now I know what the story was.
Oh, yeah. It is so cool to have her here. And she was very kind and gave Haley and I a present yesterday for I guess allowing her to come. We weren't going to not let her come, but nice. Accepting that. So let's talk a little bit about, I mean, people see you, they talk to you, and they want to talk M&A, they want to talk, the partner retreats you do and education. But let's pivot a little bit and talk about something that I'm really interested in. And you actually suggested this, which I think is a great idea. Let's talk about how you and myself, I guess, potentially, how we got into this profession and why we got into this profession as well. Why don't you give us the story?
Well, I'll tell you. You know that song from Grease, Beauty School Dropout, no graduation day for you. Yeah, that's like what it was. If I think back about, I was really good in math, but math was like adding numbers. I just was good at that and thought I would like accounting. But I found out that accounting didn't come easy, and that's a surprise to a lot of people. When I tell them that, I think I still have to this day the University of Wisconsin record for most failed accounting classes and most failed times with the CPA exam.
Really?
And people would say, like, wait a second, let me get this straight. You failed intro accounting. I said, yeah. And they said, well, like, wasn't that like maybe an early warning signal? This isn't for you? I knew I had a problem. You remember like the big book, and then you had the yellow highlighter. And that was to like highlight the one or two sentences. I would literally look after I was done reading 2 pages and everything was highlighted. And it was, for some reason, it was a little difficult. I started with a very progressive local firm in Milwaukee. That's where I'm from. A firm called Nankin Schnall. And I got lucky. Howard Schnall was this amazing visionary that even way back when was creating something other than an accounting firm. I thought I was doing pretty good. Accountants are nice people. They don't tell you, you're not doing well. And I was summoned into his office, the 6-month review. And he says, do you know why you're here? I said, not really. And he says, well, how do you think you're doing? And I said, I actually think I'm doing pretty good. And if this is the meeting to say I'm going from staff to senior, I'm in. And he goes into his desk drawer, he pulls out the partnership agreement, and he throws it at me. And he says, read paragraph 14. And I'm like, whoa, I thought I was doing good, but like, partner, I'm only 20-some years old. And I said, well, wait, that's the wrong. It says mandatory retirement age 65. He goes, that's the right paragraph. You asked me how long it would take for you to get from staff to senior, and based on our age 65 mandatory retirement age, I don't think you're going to make it. He says, but I got bad news and I got good news. I said, okay, go ahead. He says, the bad news is you're the worst accountant. we can't get enough malpractice insurance to cover you. I said, what's the good news? He says, well, you're fired, but I want to rehire you on Monday in a new role. And I said, what is it? He says, I don't know, but we're going to figure it out. And where he moved me right away was sort of the business of public accounting, assistant to the managing partner, helping and learning about the practice management. That was, half the job. The other half was he put me in charge of something called sales and marketing. I had an accounting and marketing major, and I knew I was doing well when he passed out a form, and he said, list all the business owners, bankers, and attorneys you know. Well, heck, I'd worked 3 years at a prominent, country club, shining people's shoes and playing basketball with them, and he took my list out. And he said, I have a problem with your list. And I'm thinking, maybe I put like someone's name on it that wasn't right. He says, you have more contacts and relationships than the partners do. And he sort of put me in a business development role. So I had a strange path of, where it started. It then migrated to a bigger accounting firm in Chicago, FERS. And it was all of that progressiveness, but on steroids. Fastest growing accounting firm, and then they got the idea to start a consultancy to accounting firms called PDI, eventually PDI Global.
First did that?
Yes,
okay.
yes, and I said, hey, sign me up for that, and all of a sudden, firms all over the country are calling us, and then, it led to 1998 when H&R Block bought both companies.
Oh, both, okay.
And then in 2008, H&R Block decided to go their own way. RSM, who was the big accounting firm, took their business, and I took PDI back, and then was able to sell it to Thomson in 2011, but only the publishing and training part. The consulting I kept, and that's what I've been doing for the last 12 years.
12 years. I was wondering how long you've been doing.
Yeah.
So this is it's just Koltin Consulting or something?
Exactly.
Was that the name of it? All right.
Exactly.
And so so in Koltin Consulting, I see. You are all over social media, and I see you're at these different firms, and you're constantly on planes and hotels. What are the different services that you bring through Kotlin?
Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
I think it all starts with strategic planning. It's a business. Let's put it under the microscope. Where are we? Where do we want to go? How are we going to get there? So I start by interviewing via a survey all the partners on the 25 questions that matter.
Yep.
They send it directly to me. I take it, I sort of clean it up a bit. I take all the answers, put it together in a summary document that I send out to everybody, anonymous, without names. But even before that, I do individual calls with each of the stakeholders. And, I say it's like, I'm the priest or rabbi, this is confession. What we talk about will stay behind us, but I circled questions 6, 17, and 24 because your answer compared to everybody else is in right field. Matter of fact, one of them isn't even in the stadium. Yeah. So talk to me about that. So by the time I come into the room, assuming it's a group of 20 shareholders, I know where everybody's coming from. I got the playbook. And I'll have met with the managing partner before that and said, look, for your eyes only. Now, we only got a day or two here. Let's figure out, let's not get caught lost in the forest. Let's figure out what are the must-do topics.
Right.
What are the should-do, and what the nice-to-do, the last hour, kick them in there. And I literally go through with that person and talk about the people. Oh, so-and-so is going to get on their high horse and pound their chest. So-and-so, it's the same broken record over and over, and look, everybody will roll their eyes,
Yep.
Yeah. And so consulting is the launch pad. From consulting, M&A was born.
Okay.
Internal versus external succession. Yeah. And then it got put on steroids because private equity came in. Yeah. And changed the whole pricing and valuation model. And, as we talked about in the presentation today, technology transformation, talent, all hitting at the same time. What a great time to be in this industry today.
Oh, I think so. So how long have you been doing the M&A part of things then?
M&A is probably, it kicked off in 2012, so
okay.
About 11 years.
Okay.
I mean, there was always M&A going on, but the industry didn't exist.
Right.
If I thought about it from 2000 to 2012, you'd think about the demise of Arthur Andersen. You'd think about maybe Eisner and Amper coming together, Clifton Gunderson and Larson Allen,
that's right.
probably one of Dixon, Odom, and Chris Hughes and Evans, but there just wasn't that much going on, and it was more bigger. If you thought about the decade before, it's where the Big Eight became the Big Five.
Yep.
Yeah.
So from an M&A standpoint then, this is just something I'm curious about. What's your role in that? So we talked about earlier, you build relationships.
Yeah.
This is what they identified that early on in your career, and you've been doing that. Is it the relationship part of it? Is it the actual technical, let's do the numbers, let's get the buy-in from the partners? I'm guessing it's all of the above?
It's all the above, but I will tell you, the bigger or the smaller the firm, the bigger, the more resources they have. The smaller, the more they need help.
Okay.
So, and then usually what they're doing is using me on what we'll call special purpose matters. There's a group that's kicking and screaming. There's an individual that we realize isn't going to come into the deal.
Okay.
It's wanting to sign a non-compete. It's the allocation of funds. It's the reallocation of compensation. It's the known devil's better than the unknown devil.
Right.
Yeah.
So I love to hear this story because I've always wondered, how did Allan Koltin become Allan Koltin? Because when you say Allan Koltin, people know the name in this industry, and they know what you're out there doing. So it started immediately because you sucked at accounting.
You got it. And candidly, I consider you a dear friend, and I knew this was going to be an amazing conference. But I want to shift gears if I can and ask you about you, because I know there has to be a really good story there.
All right. Well, thank you, and I appreciate. So let me. I'll tell you my history a little bit, and then let's just go through it. So I graduated from Northern Illinois University, which is one of the top accounting schools, and I took one accounting class there.
How'd that happen?
I was a computer science major. So I graduated computer science. I was out working, and I feel I'm a relationship person too. And just sitting at a desk we weren't even coding. I wasn't even sure what we were doing. I was working at a big insurance company on this $1 billion project that ended up 10 years after I left, it got scrapped. They never even used it. But there was nobody in control, and I just got frustrated that, what are we doing? So I was out programming, decided I didn't want to be a programmer. The next step was, I was making $22,000. I had some friends who were making $30,000 selling. I'm like you're out, business development. I thought, all right, I'm gonna go be a salesperson. I'm gonna go sell something. Ended up going to work for a food broker, and I was awful at sales. I had no clue what I was doing. Nothing. And I didn't have any passion for selling food. I think that was the part of it.
Because I know you're really good in sales, so it probably was more the product.
Yes.
Yeah,
but it taught me things. I didn't realize it until later in life, but I learned in that 18 months. I learned a lot. I learned things I didn't like, for sure, but I probably learned better skills at communicating with people. I don't think I was that good. It took me a long time to get there. But one day I was in that job. I'm driving down, and you'll know, not everybody watching will know, but I was driving down North Avenue. I was in, I think, Melrose Park or something. And I just had this great idea. I pulled off the road, this is how long ago it was, got in a phone booth, called my wife at work and said, hey, I'm gonna quit my job, I'm gonna go back to school full time, I wanna be a CPA.
Oh my.
And she's like, what? I'm like, well, we'll talk when we get home. But bottom line is, instantly, that's what the plans came together, that I was gonna quit my job, I was gonna go back to school full time. I did it. I went summer, fall, winter, had enough hours to take the CPA exam, never finished my accounting degree, but had enough hours to take the exam and did, and 2 times passed it, and then I've been doing this since.
Sensational.
Yeah.
So you passed the exam.
Yes.
And then where do you start? What are you doing?
So my whole goal when I started in public accounting. So I've always been an entrepreneur. My first company was when I was 16 years old, washing windows. A bunch of friends were working for me. I was paying them $6 an hour when minimum wage was $2.25, and I was probably making 20 or 30 bucks an hour with a window washing company. So I always had this mindset I wanted to have my own business. When I decided I was going to be a CPA, I told myself 4 years I'm going to work for someone else, then I'm going to start my own firm. So I went to work for a small local firm, Shapiro Olefsky. They're in Northbrook. Great guys. They still have their firm. In fact, I invited them to this conference, but unfortunately they couldn't make it because they taught me a lot about corporate culture too. Their culture was great. And so I went to work there. 3.5 years later, I had an opportunity to start my own firm, and the rest was history. Was I prepared to run an accounting firm? No, not at all. Did I make a lot of mistakes? Tons of mistakes. Did I learn a lot along the way? Sure. And then Tri-Merit actually came 17 years later when I had sold my practice. Should have had you do the deal for me. When I sold my practice and then started Tri-Merit Specialty Tax.
Stay with that. So the evolution of Tri-Merit, what was the idea and how did the lightning rod sort of go off?
So after I sold my firm, I did it for a couple reasons. One, I was getting burnt out, which people don't have to get into that position. I did because I did it wrong. Two, that burnout was affecting my kids, and so I was like, all right, I have to do something different. But at the same time, I was actually started a real estate development firm. Remember, entrepreneur.
Yes.
Started a real estate development firm in 2003, and we built that to the standpoint. We're going to go a little long, by the way. We built that to the standpoint that in 3 years' time, we had $220 million of projects under construction, one level of construction or development. And it was like, okay, I can't keep doing both. Accounting, I'm getting burnt out. Development, I'm really having a good time.
Yeah.
I'm going to sell the accounting practice. I had one partner. Looking back, I really kind of forced this on him. I didn't even realize I did, but hey, we're going to merge with this other firm. They're going to buy me out. You can go with them. But I started the firm. He came on later. And so that's what I did. And so then I was doing real estate. But 5 months after that, my partner and I decided we couldn't get along in the real estate development firm. He wanted to push. I thought we had a lot of work and we should really take it easy, let it run its course. And man, how did this get about me?
I'm loving this. And the listening audience is loving this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So he bought me out. 5 months ago, I had 2 firms. Now I had 0. I took the summer off, realized I probably didn't have enough money. I did not have enough money to live the rest of my life.
And not to interrupt, but why do I know you're going to be driving down North Avenue and you're going to pull over and call your wife from a phone booth?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I'm going to start an R&D tax credit firm. No, I had a cell phone by then. You know what? I decided I'm not going to work for myself. I've been doing this forever. I'm tired of being in charge. And so a headhunter went out and I think they called me before I even thought about getting a job. And it was 2 R&D tax credit firms. 2 separate R&D tax credit firms came to offer me a job. I ended up taking one, didn't stay there very long, I just wasn't sure they were doing things the way that I thought they should be done. And decided, hey, this opportunity is huge. Let's start this firm. So that's what we did. So we started it. Andy Lane is an engineer. I had a CPA background. We early on brought in a business development person too. So it's been a fun run. We were 1,833 on the Inc. 5,000 fastest growing privately held companies in the U.S. this year. So it's been a fun run.
Sensational. So, wow.
So that's my story. I love your story.
Yeah. I think the commonality between the two of us is where we ended up was surely not where we started.
Nope.
And we could never have envisioned we'd be sitting where we sit today back way then.
Never.
But if not for accounting, none of this might have happened.
Exactly. And honestly, I'm not a very good accountant. I don't like accounting in general. I like tax. I'm good with tax, specific parts. But yeah, I am much rather be doing the role I'm doing today, which is just out educating and talking. And I had a lot of, as you said too, I had a lot of bumps and misstarts and mistakes along the way, but I wouldn't change a thing, because if I could be in this moment of time right now, I would go through everything I already did. So
You know, it's interesting that your people and the people that work with you, because I always try to say, like, what's Randy like, you know, offset, you know, when he's not on camera. And it's the same things that keep coming back over and over. One is a contagious enthusiasm. I mean, you are energy packaged, and it just breathes on everybody that works with you. Number two is you got a little bit of a crazy side to you.
Oh, yeah.
You dare to go different. Everybody's sort of going in the boat down the river this way, and you just go the other way. And number three is you really care about your people. You build relationships to a level that, I don't know, 99% would just say, no, that's not me, it's not important. Yeah.
you're being too kind. I appreciate it though. It's I enjoy what I'm doing, and I think that shows through. And you said people are the most important thing. Hey, sure, we're going to help a client. If we don't help our people first, the client work's not going to happen. The client's not. So you start here, you care here. John Garrett just talked about this. You care here.
Yes.
Care. Clients will be affected.
So true.
But so the same thing with you though. People talk about you. He's the nicest guy in the world. I don't expect an M&A guy to be that nice. How does Alan do that? But your reputation in this profession is just unparalleled, and so I am thrilled that I'm able to call you a friend. So thank you thank you for being part of this today.
Randy,
this was
thank
an
you so
unbelievable
much.
conversation.
And congratulations on the conference, and I want to know when next year is, because for those of you listening, you better sign up, because you may not have a ticket. This thing is going to sell out before we know.
There is a lot of buzz, which I'm very happy about. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Randy.